How's it going, guys? Football-ManagerYouthDevelopment.co.uk here. Welcome back to our series where we're running through the A to Z of tactics on Football Manager. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at the balance of shape when creating a tactic. If this is the first time you've watched a video on the channel, please do remember to press that like button and of course subscribe to the channel.
Don't let the bass get you.
So in the last episode for the letter A, we took a look at analysing tactics. For the letter B, we're looking at the balance of shape. So whenever you are making a tactic on Football Manager, it's really important that you do have a little bit of symmetry to the tactic you are making. Whenever I am making a tactic, there's going to be two screens that you can take a look at. So you will obviously be taking a look at your tactics screen, which is here, and then you can also take a look at it on the match engine. I'll firstly talk to you through what I look for on this page, and then we will take a look at the match engine just to show you the type of things that I'm taking a look at here. So I have made a video fairly recently on the kind of shape of your tactics, and you know how the player movement is affected depending on what type of duty that you give the player, either defend, support or attack, etc. So the type of things that I'm basically thinking about when I am making a tactic is the shape. So generally I do stick to a straight back four. I do find that gives my tactics fairly good kind of structure and width. The other type of things that I'm taking a look at here, so this guy is fairly good at kind of bombing forward. He's got a fair amount of energy in the middle of the park, and I do think he's going to be quite a big player for my tactics. I'm not managing the kind of greatest team in the world, so in terms of giving this team sort of really specialised sort of roles and tactics and things, I'm not going to be doing that at all with this team. The only kind of specialist sort of like role that I would say that I've got in the team is the inside forward one and the deep line playmaker one. The rest of the kind of roles are fairly kind of bog standard and straightforward, especially my two midfielders who are both on the centre midfield roles. So the kind of balance that I'm looking for in this team here, so this guy here, when we are attacking, this guy is going to be having license to drift in the middle of the team here. In the middle of the field here. What's basically going to be happening is that we might be a little bit more exposed on this side. This is why I have left this guy on the support duty on the left hand side, just so that he's not completely bombing forward. And if we do get caught in possession a little bit higher on the pitch, this guy will be able to kind of float over to this side of the pitch just to kind of cover down the right hand wing. This is quite a good thing to think about when you are making a tactic, as it will give you the kind of license to think about the type of things that you can do. Likewise, on this area of the pitch here, this guy is allowed to roam forward. When we are attacking, because I've got him on the centre midfielder attack duty, he's probably going to be pushing forwards to, say, this position here. What I have done, I've got a winger on the support function, so that if we do get caught in position, this guy, although he's going to be fairly high up the pitch, with the support function he's going to be told to get back, so he will be pushing back into this position here. And of course I've got the deep line playmaker in possession here. The deep line playmaker is not going to be pushing forward too much, and likely the kind of furthest that he's going to be pushing up is in line with this other centre midfielder here. So you can see that when we are either attacking or needing to defend in our sort of transitional phases, that we do have quite a good balance to the team shape. So when you're taking a look at the balance of shape on your team, you can of course go to the analysis screen, have a look at the teams. An area that I like to take a look at is the average positions and the positional heat map. This gives you a good indication of where your players are spending most of their time on the field, and obviously their average positions. When we do have the ball, it's going to be very important to make sure that we're kind of in positions where we're able to kind of collect the ball relatively easy. I don't want to see my kind of players too spread far apart, just so that we're having to make really long passes and things like that. I do like my teams to be fairly compact, especially when I'm managing a team that's not got too many sort of skillful players, as that means that they can make quite simple and short passes. For example, number 3 here, Liam Gordon, he can really easily pass it to number 10 here, as his average positions are fairly close. That of course means that we are taking a look at things as well, like without the ball. It's really good to have a look at the defensive position. So I can actually see that with the ball here that my number 6, he is fairly far forward, but when we are defending, he is pushing quite further back. Of course, what is also happening is that my number 9, who is my inside forward, like I mentioned, he's a little bit kind of further forward, which potentially might leave us a little bit isolated here. I do have a feeling that my number 5 here, which is a guy called Neil Maxwell, he's needing to push a little bit further forward when we do not have the ball, compared to my other fullback, which is Ross McCrory, due to needing to be a little bit further forward to compensate for this guy here. When I do look at the match engine, these are the type of things that I need to have a look at, and just to see if it's having any effect at all. You can see here that if we take a look at the centre circle as well, this guy here, number 8, which is David Hughes, as I mentioned before, he needs to be a little bit more over to this left hand side so that he can protect this fullback who's playing at left back. You can see that in terms of the centre circle, this guy is a hell of a lot closer to the edge of the centre circle compared to my number 7, which is my other centre midfielder. This is, of course, quite a good thing for me, because that does mean that he is slightly kind of leaning over to this left side of the pitch when we don't have the ball, and this is his average positions, so that he is supporting my other sort of fullback. The positional heat map as well is another area to take a look at. We can, of course, see that the different positions on the field is, kind of gives us a good balance of where my players are spending most of their time. It is looking a little bit kind of heavy over to the sort of right-hand side, the left-hand side on this particular tactic, but that's not something I'm too concerned about at the moment, and I will take a look at this on the match sort of engine as well. So for this particular match, I was playing against a lot sort of smaller team. It is just a friendly, but like I mentioned in the last video, I have made a completely new tactic, and that's why I'm sort of analysing all the tactics just to kind of see the best things to do. In terms of scoring chances, we made 8 clear-cut chances, and I do think it's going to be a good idea to take a look at a couple of these just so that I can see my movement when we are attacking opposition teams. Okay, so for this particular highlight, we will be scoring a goal at the end of this highlight, but I just wanted to take a real quick look at the kind of setup of the team and how everything's looking. So for this particular tactic, I have got my deep lying playmaker in the middle of the pitch. I do like that he's pretty close to this guy here. Of course, our defender here is kind of going to be moving forward, and he's going to be, sort of making track of this guy here. The ball is going to be going out to our inside forward, which is McDonald. I'll play on a little bit here just to kind of see what happens. So the structure and shape of our team is pretty decent here. I do like that we've got like a couple of options basically. So if this guy really wanted to, he could lay a real quick ball over to McDonald here. He could potentially take the ball back a little bit here and pass it into our centre midfielder. Or potentially if this sort of deep line playmaker moves forward, then that would of course give our centre midfielder a little bit of space to pass the ball to. In terms of a sort of defensive kind of structure, we can see that the opposition are just kind of parking the bus really. They're really narrow and compact in the middle of the field. So it's going to be really important for me to make sure that I'm making the most of the kind of wide areas when attacking this team. I'll play on a little bit further. We can see that he did actually end up passing it to McDonald, who is free of space. You can see here that my fullback is running down the left hand side, and like I mentioned, look how narrow their defence is here. So this is my fullback and this is my other fullback. You can see how wide my formation is compared to theirs. I would imagine McDonald is going to be passing it to this guy here, Maxwell. He doesn't, but the ball does eventually work its way out to Maxwell on the left-hand side. And you can see the amount of space that this guy's got here. And we've got sort of really nice balance of shape in the middle of the park as well. So we have our centre midfielder who's on the attack duty on the edge of the box, who's going to be running through. We've got our other centre midfielder here, who's just supporting an attack. We've got our attacker here and our winger here, Ryan, who's going to be running in on the back post. So Maxwell's got a lot of time to think about his cross, and what he's doing, he's putting in a cross to the back post, and Ryan, who is our winger, is there to tap in at the back post. So to me, that was quite a good sort of setup of play in the way that we attack the ball. We had a lot of options in terms of shape and things like that. And especially the amount of kind of space and time that our fullback here, Maxwell, got on the left-hand side. I can certainly see just by looking at the kind of match engine and how narrow this defence is that we needed to exploit the wide areas, and certainly doing that enabled us to get this goal. On the other side, you can actually take a look at the goals that you have conceded. So for the defensive transitions here, in terms of our kind of shape here, so we have got our centre midfielder here who's kind of tracking back on the support function. Our deep line playmaker is completely out of position here. Like, he did go to tackle this guy. He didn't particularly need to because our right back was making an attempt to tackle him. Personally, I would have probably liked to have seen this deep line playmaker move into this position here, just so that he could be in a position to make a tackle on this guy straight away. So if we play on a little bit further, he does go across to try and make a tackle on this guy, but as a result of him not being in this position here, or at least this centre back not being in this position here, we can see that this guy is completely free on his own, and this guy's got a hell of a lot of room. And you can see that the fact that my centre back, number 17, which is Lang, the fact that he needed to move from this position here to go and tackle this guy on the ball, instead of our deep line playmaker being in a decent position to tackle this guy, it's left an absolutely massive gap at the back of my defence. This, of course, means that we're completely exposed at the back, and now we're really struggling. We've obviously got my centre midfielder here, who's looking to kind of track back as best as possible. This is our centre back who's trying to get across, to sort of make a tackle on this guy. But yeah, the fact that my centre, sort of deep line playmaker is completely out of position, this meant that my centre back had to try and do something. And he was completely out of position. When he came through with the ball, it was pretty much a simple tap-in into the back of the net, but the fact that my defence was completely exposed, it means that I have now got something to look at in terms of my tactics, and I need to make some changes just to make sure that this type of situation does not happen again in future. I'm going to call it the end of the episode here, guys. If you have found this video useful, please do drop a like on the video, as it really does help the channel. For the next video, which is going to be letter C, we will be looking at counter-attacking football on Football Manager. Thank you for watching this video, and do come back soon for the next video.